I always get reminded of what the Dalai Lama said in my book, and I'll just read it out. He says, everyone not only wants to be happy, but has a right to be happy. The question is how to achieve it. So, then of course he says in this book that, I was lucky enough to get an endorsement from the Dalai Lama, which something is so precious to me. Mm-hmm. And it's all about that, People want to be happy. People want to be peaceful. But the very thing that makes them happy and peaceful is the one they run away from. That's one of the things that takes away your peace of mind. The first thing that takes away your peace of mind is your phone. Because whether you like it or not, things that upset you are right there. Things that trigger negative emotions like jealousy. You wonder how everyone else is doing all those wonderful things. And envy. You want to be just like all the other people. They're only showing you the highlights of their life. They're not showing you the times when they had a god-awful fight with their spouses pulling each other's hair, or, when things went terribly wrong, or when they fell terribly sick. No, well, when they fall terribly sick, yes, they do, because they want this little pity party on Facebook where everybody's sending regards. And what do we do with everything? We say, oh, we don't like, oh, sorry, so sorry, happy birthday. These little things, one moment that we share with people, and the one who's receiving those comments say, oh, I got a like. Oh, I got a, if you're on Instagram, you're constantly looking to see who's liked your post or didn't like your post. This takes away your peace of mind. The world of form can never give you peace. It can only agitate you. It exists to agitate you. Unless you can look beyond it into the world of the formless. That is right there in front of you. That is right there. So you can be in the midst of a heated argument with friends, over your religion, over the politics that you follow, and just be observing your breath. And just have nothing to say. Have nothing to say. You can listen to whatever, and actually what happens is, if you find yourself in a conversation, it becomes agitating after a while, and you don't know how to pull yourself out of it. Right? You keep saying, but this, but that, but this. You're trying to make someone else understand or take your viewpoint on life. Right? And that's the point when it gets very agitated, it's getting a little nasty, is when you become even aware that you're saying all these things or this conversation is taking place. That's the time. It doesn't matter, even if it's that late, that's the time to pull back into yourself. That's the time to revert to the breath, because the breath, it is formless. And because it is formless, because you move from the world of form to the world of the formless, a calmness comes over you. Because the formless is calm. Imagine yourself floating in the Milky Way. Just floating. Tons of stars around you. Just twinkling. And you're just floating and you're just free. The meditation I do with space when we go out into space. That's the sensation you have to recall when you catch yourself getting out of it, getting anxious. And you can get anxious for no reason, because in a particular day, like today, I'll tell you from my experience, I was feeling like a sense of something's not right. And there's no point telling 100 people, something's not right, because everybody around you gets agitated. Instead, I was breathing a lot. I could have had about 30 squabbles with my husband, but I had just one, I think. 2 maybe. Yeah. When you don't feel right, when there's no inner feeling of peace, it gets projected onto your outside world. It's not the other way around. It's not that your circumstances are bad, that's why your inner peace is disturbed. You begin with inner peace. Everything begins with that feeling of everything is all right just the way it is. Yes, the world is going crazy. All kinds of things are happening. Yeah. Read, if you live in London, it's Brexit that's driving you crazy. If you live in India, it's the attack on the students that's driving you crazy. If you live here, it's the impeachment that's going on that's driving you crazy. Something, right? Every country has its own set of things, and you can either get totally caught up in that and be thoroughly miserable, or you can claim your inner peace. Swami Prabhupada used to come here. He was one of the Swamijis for Art of Living, and I always call that bedroom Prabhupada's room, because he inaugurated it when I had it remodeled. And he would come and he'd sit and he'd give us a talk, and very often, and that was one of the questions somebody asked him. How do you deal with someone who's terribly angry? So he says, and he took several minutes to give his answer, just like the boss I'm giving now. My calm is bigger than his anger. What is the more overpowering energy? When your calm combats the anger, it just suddenly calms down. Everything calms down. You give anything a little bit of time, it all calms down. We have situations in our outer life that mess us up. A loss of life, a leak under your floorboards, whatever. So many things happen to mess up your life, right? There's a very nice story that it's a Buddhist parable, and I've said it to many people. I might have mentioned it in this class before. One day Buddha was going with the rest of his monks, and he was very thirsty. So he told his monks, can I please have a drink of water? And so the monk went to the lake, where they were next to a lake. But there were women washing their clothes there, and there was a buffalo crossing. And, he looked at the water. The water was all muddy and churned up and brown. And he told Buddha, I cannot give you this water. It's not safe for you to drink. It's dirty water. So they rested under the trees for a few hours, and when Buddha woke again, he was still very thirsty. So he asked his monks again, can I have a drink of water? When the monk went to the lake, the washerwomen had gone, the buffaloes had gone. The water was as clear as crystal. All the mud that had been stirred up had settled to the bottom. And then, when he picked up the water, he could see it was absolutely clear. And he brought some and gave it to the Buddha. And the Buddha looked at him, do you see? It's the same water. If you let it be, it settles down. So the same thing applies to our mind. Our mind can get totally filled with a lot of garbage, with a lot of stuff happening. But if you let it be, without questioning, without having that inner conversation constantly, the less conversations we have with ourselves, the greater the peace, right? We have to let things settle. Everything settles down, then what's left is peace. What's left is peace. And that is your very nature. You are the peace that you're seeking. You don't have to spend $5,000 to go on a vacation to get that peace. Or on a cruise. If you go on that vacation and that cruise, you probably need another week after you come back to get the peace back, because your flight would have been delayed, things didn't work on time, you had too much to drink, put on too much weight. You don't have to go anywhere to access your true nature. It's right there. It's right there. You are full of goodness, you are full of peace, you are full of joy. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to listen to anybody. And if whatever I am saying or anyone else, any other person is trying to point you, is just trying to make you find your way home to yourself. Because the answers, whatever answers you're looking for, whatever solutions you want to are not out there in the world of form. They are inside, in the world of the formless. And when I mean inside, they don't necessarily makes you go inside the body. It's right here. It's just there. You just have to let the form drop. And you're there in the world of the formless. Like that feeling when you come out of meditation, right? Just for a few seconds, till that first thought hits you, you feel like life is good. Everything's okay. I'm fine. I feel great. I'm so relaxed. There's no feeling of any problems. Why? Because you haven't put yourself in at all. I never came in there. I'm feeling stressed. I believe in this. I want that. That's the biggest problem. The ego part of your existence is what takes away the peace of mind. Yes, we all need to have a certain identity because we're human beings and we have, samskaras. We need identity. But from time to time, you need to drop the identity with the world of form and sink into the formless. And the easiest way to do it, the one accessible form of the formless is the breath. You can find your peace in the midst of any difficult situation. Anything that disturbs you. People get really disturbed even when they're driving. Now you find that as we approach the holiday season, go it closer and closer, parking becomes difficult, you're driving around in circles, you're waiting at the light longer. Small things can agitate you. Who are you giving the power to? This is yours. Godify yourself. What does it mean to godify? It means to access the God in the room. And the only God in the room is you. You find that God. You find that God, and then you'll just have peace. That God is not outside of you. That God is not in heaven. I know we've been told all the time, our Father who art in heaven. No, our Father is right here. Right here. You are the Father. You are that essence. That's the only God that matters. Find that. And then you don't need anything else. You will just have peace. And when you have peace, it doesn't mean you don't do anything. Peace does not equal inaction. You can be peaceful while being most active. Most active. And you can take Gandhi as an example. A peace-loving person. I'm talking about the concept of outer peace. But one for action. Such a person of action. Peace and action go together. In fact, they become even stronger. When you are at peace, right action comes automatically. You'll make the right choices. Whether it's the right choice of a partner or the right choice for the president of the country, it doesn't matter. When you go from what you believe, when you get to your source, you always make the right choice. And that's what you have to trust. That's what you have to access. And that's what any teacher, any guru is trying to show you the way to yourself. We're all in the same endeavor, trying to find that journey, trying to open the doorways to ourselves. Because once you do that, then, you need nothing. Everything is manifest. Everything is just abundance all the way. Happiness is your birthright. Yeah. Why do I keep saying that? Because that was how you were born. But you didn't realize it, so you cried. You wanted that happiness that you always had before you took this birth. And so the first thing you did in this birth was cry. Like, why am I even here? Because you know that this world of form, that baby knows this world of form is full of tricks. Full of tricks, and you're going to get caught really deeply. But the happiness that the baby shows for nothing, no reason, just sheer contentment. That's the kind of feeling that you're looking at. And that can be there. That can be there if you just permit it to. Which means get back from the formless, from the form to the formless, from the form to the formless, form to the formless.